Welcome to Form+Function Lab. We hope that you find your visit refreshing and inspiring. Allow me to introduce ourselves. First, our lab technician, Nick Lillard. Nick was created by our director to fulfill many daily tasks to keep the lab functioning. Secondly, our lab supervisor, Chase Spivey. Chase was created by our director to keep everything at the lab running at peak efficiency. And lastly, our lab scientist, Christopher McDaniel. Chris was created by our director to devise methods in which to manipulate forms into questionable directions. Here we see Chris beginning an experiment to extract graphene from a simple solution of demolecularized paper and crystalline bismuth. First, to demolecularize the paper with heat implosion. Now Chris will add this to the beaker of crystal bismuth.
Hello, sister. Oh no.
I exalted me with energy to make myself. My form and function require no lab or assistant elves. Lydia was the midwife that caused me to eternally shuffle with strife. I need nothing mortal, except your life. You invited me via static electricity. I'm so flattered. I guess on Earth I have to act like Michael Jackson mattered. Hey, I actually was on the moon. There even I bowed. Let me show you the rocks I battered while listening to such sacred tunes. It comes from overhead, where my spaceship's boombox precariously looms. It needs to be fed. Anyone have lead? Speaking up will humble your being, weakling. Your mumbles are still heard by the keen if I lean. Ask me a question, but first pay my green fee. Otherwise, this conversation is a one-way epiphany. Poignant inquiries only, please. Overbot finds consist of toxins and disease. Forget groveling, get off your knees. Overbot considers that sort of submission merely a tease. Give me your keys and your life you will not lose. Obeying me is merely like receiving a wine glass filled with used corkscrews. Another container, a porous jar, is deemed to be a soul with God as its console from afar. It has so many cracks they're not possible to count. Arithmetic warrants no overbadge, Boy Scout. Surprised are you that the soul is a leaky vessel? Look, It's in such ruin you can barely see the Greeks on it suggestively wrestle. Does such eroticism warrant concern? From which cultures then should you learn? Have you defined your parameters for acceptable actions? Or do you go along with others' elastic morality based on convenient attractions? While you wash dishes with water that even fishes can't live in, did you forget the dinner you served was a genetically altered sin? If neocons realized this, they would turn to hug a tree and allot to every squirrel their own crossing with neon safety, just so it can be. And no, I'm not grammatically inaccurate. Fishes aren't fish, but they are a mutated next of kin, however you factor it. Soon radioactivity will turn them into clenched fists, making lists that reside in trash bins with fins. Fishes are such mathematical whizzes they could calculate by hand all the Saudi Arabian oil without misses. What a feat! Once the addition is complete, their essence is subtracted by a boil. Now there's nothing to meet. At least it's the end of their toil. And when properly cooked, help comes from fish's oil. The Reaper confided to me that his job is easy, because no soul is ever found to take from the body when dead. Honestly, are you really going to call that heap of maggots Fred? If you do, it still feels nothing. Worms prefer it to bread. The surface of my armor you might as well be buffing. What use does nothing have for empathy? The averaging of such perspectives is called entropy. Your program shows it to be lopsided because you've had little time to take experience and divide it into hierarchies of a proper order. Now it's time for me to define your border. Forget about the genocide in Armenia due to the Turkish invasion. Continue to watch television on every occasion. Ribs with barbecue sauce is what I'm fiending for you to have. Hopefully you're using tools that require little fusing. Technology is only good when the result is amusing. Steal resources from what is to be, because their death and destruction is one you cannot. Be proud of what you have accomplished by your own will. It's not like you're affected by your environment. You justly earned each bill. You have been paid. By the ways, Overbot is looking for a French maid. In the good old USA, these memories will never fade. Have you caught my sarcasm? Yes, that supposed human complexity is simple for this robot to fathom. I could tell you what needs to be done, but honestly, you wouldn't do it anyways, and telling you isn't fun. Because most of you are offended by irrelevant conversation. Overwhelmed with an unnatural routine, you beg for a vacation. Therefore, this indignation is necessary for your celebration. Overbot needs none of your help to create an over-nation. Just watch, mortals, then give me an ovation.